This is lesson 343, the decline and fall of the Roman Empire. Essential question: what factors led to the collapse of the Roman Empire, and what effect did the fall of Rome have on the Mediterranean world? And we've got a warm-up question. On the cartoon on the next slide, identify as many Roman accomplishments as possible. And here it is. Okay, the Roman Republic, we've got a timeline here at the bottom that kind of shows how we're doing this. Rome began as a city-state that was heavily influenced by Greek culture, and you can see that right there with the green star. By 509 BC, Rome was ruled by elected senators who served in the Roman Republic. As we know, during the Republic, Rome expanded by defeating Carthage in the Punic Wars and later by more conquests under generals like Julius Caesar. But then, as we know, the Republic weakened due to corruption, civil wars, and the assassination of Julius Caesar in 44 BC. And after Julius Caesar's death, Rome became an empire ruled by the Emperor Caesar Augustus, who had been called Octavian. Under Caesar Augustus, Rome entered an era of peace and prosperity known as the Pax Romana. After 270 years of prosperity during the Pax Romana, the empire began to decline and was conquered in 476 AD. Why did the Roman Empire decline? Brainstorm a list of reasons why the mighty Roman Empire might have entered an era of decline. The decline of the Roman Empire. The fall of the Roman Empire happened in three major stages. The first of these was an era of decline due to internal problems within Rome. Rome experienced political problems. The empire was too large for one emperor to control. The emperors after the Pax Romana were weak emperors. And citizens experienced a loss of confidence, patriotism, and loyalty to the Roman government. Romans experienced economic problems. Outside groups disrupted trade. And as a result, you had poor harvests that led to food shortages. As a result of these food shortages, Rome had a trade imbalance. They bought more than they produced. They had to import food, and cash left the country. As a result of that, the government raised taxes and minted new coins. But all of that new money created inflation. And the economic decline left many Romans poor. The Romans experienced military problems. Germanic tribes outside Rome were gaining strength. The Roman military was growing weak. Generals were challenging the authority of these weak emperors. And to save money, Romans hired foreign soldiers, mercenaries. But these mercenaries were not loyal to Rome. Here's a great chart that shows the multiple causes of the fall of the Western Empire. It divides them into political, social, economic, and military. And then below that, below the contributing factors, you have the immediate cause: invasion by Germanic tribes and by Huns. And that gets to a basic reason that the Roman Empire fell. Barbarians love to tear things up. What would you do to save the empire? Brainstorm a series of reforms that might save Rome from its decline. As we said, the fall of the Roman Empire happened in three major stages. The first, as we said, was an era of decline due to internal problems within Rome. But the second stage was a brief period of revival due to the reforms by the emperors Diocletian and Constantine. In 284 AD, Emperor Diocletian came to power, and he made a series of reforms that temporarily halted Rome's decline. To fix the military, Diocletian doubled the size of the Roman army. To fix the economy, he fixed the prices of goods so that inflation wouldn't affect the prices of everything. And to fix that lack of loyalty, he presented himself as somebody to be loyal to, as a godlike emperor. Diocletian's most important reform was realizing that Rome was too large and dividing the empire into Western and Eastern Roman empires. And he further divided that into 4 areas. For example, the West was the home of co-emperor Maximian, and the West was also the home of Constantius I, Maximilian's Caesar. The East was the home of Diocletian, and it was also the home of Galerius, Diocletian's Caesar. So you had an emperor and a Caesar in the East, and an emperor and a Caesar in the West. The empire was divided between Greek-speaking and Latin-speaking halves. However, the empire was also divided by wealth, because the East was far wealthier than the West, because it had the great cities and the great trade centers. After Diocletian, the Emperor Constantine came to power, and he continued to reform Rome. To help unify Rome, he ended persecutions and converted to Christianity. And he moved the official capital from Rome to a new city in the east called Constantinople. He named it after himself. Constantinople was a major trade center and was easy to defend. The city was built in the Roman style, but it also had strong Greek and Christian influence. As we said, the fall of the Roman Empire happened in 3 stages, that first stage being the era of decline due to internal problems within Rome, that second stage being that brief period of revival due to the reforms by emperors Diocletian and Constantine, and then the third stage was continued invasion by Germanic barbarians and the eventual conquest of Rome. After the emperors Diocletian and Constantine, the Roman Empire continued to decline. Disease, corruption, and a declining economy exposed the West to outside invasions. By 370 AD, barbarian groups outside Rome, led by a group called the Huns, began to attack all over the Western Roman Empire. The weak Roman army in the West could do little to stop the invasions, and by 476, Germanic barbarians had conquered the western capital of Rome. Here's a great picture of the fall of Rome. After the fall of Rome, the decline of the Western Roman Empire led to the Middle Ages. You had barbarian kingdoms that dominated Europe. You had a new economic system called feudalism and manorialism. The eastern half of the Roman Empire became what later Renaissance snobs called the Byzantine Empire, and it flourished for another 1,000 years. The Byzantine Empire kept alive the cultural achievements of ancient Greece and Rome. This is a map of the empires that we're studying in the classical era. The civilizations of the classical era produced important achievements that are still used today. The combination of Greek and Roman achievements are known as the Greco-Roman culture, and you can see that they're on the left in the orange and the purple. What were the important cultural contributions of the classical era? Match the achievement with the appropriate classical civilization. Here you've got a chart that shows 4 of our classical era societies. You've got Greece, you've got Rome, you've got the Gupta dynasty in India, which we'll study soon, and you've also got the Han dynasty in China, which we'll study last.